like, there's a lot of disingenuous moments, but there's a lot of actual straight up lying in this video, and it fucking frustrates me to no end. Because it's someone who either doesn't understand the game, didn't spend enough time with the game, or somebody fundamentally misunderstands the design philosophy that has been prevalent in the franchise for the last, like, decade. So, I've been waiting to do this, and I'm glad that we have a team to do it with.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the fullest full screen I can do when you're sharing. I can't get rid of the top part, which is kind of lame. So let me actually, I'm going to move you so we see more of the video. I think that's probably the best way to do it here. Yeah. I think that's the best way to do it. Okay, so should I put this in just chatting, or should I put this on Resident Evil Village?
Just chatting.
Just chatting? Okay. So, for the 2 people who are watching, this is Under the Mayo's video, and I'm going to shout them out, because we're watching their shit, right? We're not going to just steal somebody's content and not fucking shout them out. There's some stuff I've agreed with that this guy's made. There's a lot of stuff I don't agree with, and there's some stuff where I feel like I don't think this guy actually played the game. It's weird. You'll see what I'm saying when we get there. It's kind of a long video, right? And with the critique, we're probably going to double or triple the length of this fucking thing.
Oh, yeah.
But if we get to a point where we feel like we've made our point, we could probably just pull out, right?
We're going to fucking quadruple. We're not pulling out until the gals come home.
Woo! All right, so let's get this shit started, dude. Wait, so if I pull up another tab, we're on display, right? So if I pull this up, you still see the video, right, Zombie?
Yes, I do indeed.
So this will just got you. So this will just change for me. Okay, cool.
I see
let's get this shit started, dude. So you can't interact with the video. It's just me, right? Like I'm the one controlling this.
Just you.
Okay.
You were the main event here.
All right. So if you want to make a point and I haven't paused it, just tell me to pause it, bro. All right. Here we go.
Pause it.
No pulling out, pussy. All right. Here we go, guys.
Well, they did it. They made a Resident Evil game that, for the majority of the experience, is devoid of nearly everything that made the series interesting.
Okay, hold up, pause.
The horror setting.
Okay.
Devoid of everything interesting. Are you fucking kidding me? They not only fucking made, 5 antagonists that are completely different from each other. They're all completely designed separate. Okay, let's name 6 because the fucking old lady is super unique too. Yes, please. But what? Like, are you serious? It's completely... This guy's saying it's disconnected completely from the series. Okay? Just because you share the same camera angle doesn't make it the same. Going in, this is basically what this guy is saying, that it's doing nothing interesting, that it's being like the Resident Evil 6 of the just go.
Let me piggyback off of what you're already saying. Okay, you ready? Let's listen to it one more time, and then I'm going to go off too.
Already triggered.
They did it. They made a Resident Evil game that, for the majority of the experience, is devoid of nearly everything that made the series interesting.
Okay, so he uses the word series there very fucking generously. There are no 2 games in this franchise enough alike to even list a set of design philosophies that this series has ever like fully adhered to.
Exactly.
The most similar games in the series are RE1 and RE2, and even going from 1 to 2 is such a jarring difference in tone and resource allocation and certain gameplay mechanics. They are completely different games, even the first 2, and those are the most similar ones. And you go down the list, there are no games in the franchise that are even similar enough to even say everything that makes the series interesting. Every game in this series is almost a different set of gameplay mechanics and a different set of design philosophies completely. So that's completely unfounded in the first place. And I knew the second I heard this guy open his mouth. He's what I refer to as a purist. One of those people who think RE1 remake is like the greatest game
ever
made.
Is the god tier. 100%.
Right, and I agree. I think RE1 remake and RE4 are the only 2 10 out of 10s in this series. Everything else is 9.5 or below, right? That's the way that I look at it. But there are still great games. It just depends on your subjective kind of perspective or your particular taste in gaming. However, he's coming at this from the angle of nothing is like RE1. And even if we're being generous and saying RE1 remake, that still means he's referring to game design philosophies that are nearly 20 years removed. So it's almost like he fucking woke up from a coma, and the first game he played was Village after waking up from a 20-year coma, and is being like, "Oh, this series changed." But that's like saying, "Oh man, M. Night Shyamalan doesn't make good movies anymore." It's like, we fucking know. It's been 25 years. Dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the way this guy's fucking acting. Do you feel me though?
Yeah, 100%.
This is one of those weirdos that thinks RE is supposed to be super serial, dude. There's a sect of Resident Evil fans that I refer to as purists. It's the ones who think the original trilogy is like the best games ever made. But even within the original trilogy, there's so many different design choices and design elements dude, I think Nemesis is actually as action-packed as RE4. The only fucking difference is the camera angle. Or if RE4, because RE4 is tank controls, if RE4 had static, fixed perspective camera angles, it would have felt a lot like the previous 3 games.
Like, for instance, the Madman build that was going to become of Resident Evil 4, aka 3.5. You saw that, right? The one with the hook and the mist and shit like that.
There were 2 different builds, and like those would have been way more in line with the original design philosophy, but even with that, Nemesis was super actiony, and like basically here's how the action plateaued in Resident Evil. You have like RE1 that starts. It's like a mystery. It's not even like a horror game. It feels a lot like a mystery. For like the first like 2/3 of the game, right? It's really different. Right. And then you have a teeny tiny little bit of action at the end with the running through and the alarm going off and the mansion's gonna blow and fighting the tyrant. A little bit at the end, and then RE2 starts higher than that. Right? But RE2 dips back down once you get to the RPD. It slows the fuck down for a while, right? And RE3 Nemesis even has those dips where it really calms down too. Like it has a way more action, but it has those moments where it dips. And you think back to RE4, RE4 has a pretty fucking chill beginning until that fucking village sequence. And then even after the village sequence, it's chill for a fucking long time. It's chill up until you get the rifle and you do that whole part on the bridges and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
RE4 even has a lot of those dips. It's not till RE5 that shit goes off the rails, dude. Off the fucking rails. As far as the action. So, like, when I hear someone say this sentence, right? When I hear someone say this shit.
Interesting. And despite they made a Resident Evil game that, for the majority of the experience, is devoid of nearly everything that made the series interesting. And despite the horror...
So when someone says series as a whole, they are completely ignoring the fact that no 2 games in the series are even enough alike to make a generalization like that. That is my perspective.
Devoid the series of everything interesting.
Which isn't even fair, because there's plenty of stuff in Village that's fucking interesting. If you're not interested in the kind of game Village is, you might not think there's anything good in the game, but like there's plenty of stuff in this game that anyone from any corner of the series would enjoy.
Dude, if I had a face that I could use to show the 2 years of MMA I have taken, I think this would be the guy over Avalanche. Already. I've never even watched this guy's reviews. I'm going to be 100% fully honest with you.
Like to dislike ratio is almost... It's like
half.
It's half.
It's almost half. It's 0.5 of a half.
Yeah, he's got 12K likes, 5.5K dislikes, but he's a pretty big channel. I mean, he's got almost 100K subscribers. This video's got almost 300,000 views since May. Like that's a pretty successful like mid-tier YouTube channel, right? Like totally fair. Like that's fine. He's got an audience. Great. Like I support everyone. I love people with strong opinions regardless of whether or not they align with mine. I love it, right? I think it's fucking great. But not when you're wrong. All right, let's continue. Dude, we're 11 seconds in.
This is already fucking triggering me, dude. Go for it.
It gets worse, dude. Just wait.
I'm excited.
Horror setting and serious tone. Village is
hold on.
the horror setting and serious...
Let's start it back, because I think it segues right into another...
Well,
all right.
They did it. They made a Resident Evil game that, for the majority of the experience, is devoid of nearly everything that made the series interesting. And despite the horror setting and serious tone, Village is not a survival horror game.
Oh, fuck.
I'm gonna go ahead and fucking stop you there, my dude.
Oh, fuck.
All right, so I've been pretty open about my definition of survival horror, and you and me, Zombie, were even talking about it because we were talking about the Avalanche guy. Like, for me, or let's say let's go from his perspective first. I know for a fact that this dude probably thinks survival horror is tank controls, fixed perspective camera angles, Oh yeah, and serious tone. By the way, that's a good catch, Kuroda. Serious tone. Village has plenty of fucking goofiness, dude. Okay. Anyway, fixed perspective camera angles, tank controls, fucking, fucking item boxes, backtracking, puzzle solving, limited inventory, limited resources, all that, right? Let's say that's like 7 different design elements. There's only one of those that you actually need for survival games in general. This is my perspective. A survival horror game is a survival game with a horror skin. Remove the horror aspect and the survival mechanics would remain regardless of whatever the code of pain is, right? For a survival game to function properly, regardless of all the tertiary mechanics, the core mechanic has always been and always will be limited resources in some way, whether it's a limited inventory capacity that prevents you from carrying, so much, which means every single encounter or situation you find yourself in, you have to make creative decisions based on the limited stuff that you're carrying, or just scarce resources in general. Those are the only things you need for a survival game to work. Crafting is optional, exploration is optional, puzzle solving is optional. What do tank controls have to do with survival gameplay? Nothing. That is a stylistic and often a technical choice made by the developers. That has nothing to do with the genre, right?
So
Fixed perspective camera.
Sean's coming in here and saying that this game was not as scary as Biohazard.
As RE7, it wasn't, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be. You don't need to be. You don't need to be scary every second of your game, and you don't need to be scary the whole time, and you don't even need to have that much scary stuff in general to be considered a horror game. It is clear by looking at Village that the developers' intentions were to make a horror game, and they succeeded. Is there a lot of action? Sure. Is there a lot of fucking batshit craziness? Absolutely. That doesn't mean that it's not a horror game. Dude, I just got done playing RE1. I have the freshest perspective on this. I just finished RE1 Chris Hard mode yesterday. This is all fresh in my fucking mind. RE1 has plenty of downtime where there's nothing to be afraid of, right? You don't have to be scary all the time. What matters is the developer's intentions and their execution of those intentions. That's what matters when it comes to tone, atmosphere, genre, sound design, all those things. That's where the fucking horror comes from. Exactly. Horror has nothing to do with gameplay. Survival is mechanical. Horror is the code of paint. So when we're talking about survival horror gameplay, okay?
It's a fucking skin. Horror is a skin, people. It's just a skin. The Suffering is an action horror game. Make no mistake. It's action horror. It's just a skin.
Dude, another great example. Super action heavy. Jericho. Still a fucking horror game. Action heavy as fuck, dude. Action heavy as fuck. Still a horror game, though. You have to be an adult about this thing, right? You have to recognize the developer's intentions, and you have to recognize the execution. What were their intentions to make a horror game? Did they succeed? Abso-fucking-lutely. Is it always scary? No. One of my favorite aspects of Village is the downtime. When you backtrack through the village like the second or third time, and there's no enemies, and you're just exploring and looking for shit, one of the most unique experiences you can have in this franchise, right? Very little scares to be had, but the atmosphere is still fucking dank, dude, right? Anyway, the reason that I was talking about survival horror gameplay is, for me, survival gameplay in general, from a mechanical perspective, is either it is a resource system that limits your decision making in some way, whether it be scarce resources or limited inventory space that prevents you from carrying too much. So every combat encounter or every situation you find yourself in is interesting, right? And that shows up in Village in the form of the crafting, right? The crafting in Village is heavily expanded from RE7. In Resident Evil Village, the crafting system on a blind playthrough, and remember, we have to filter it through that perspective because it's never going to be as hard on a second playthrough. On a blind playthrough, there are plenty of creative decisions based on the limited crafting resources most players are going to carry. But I have to preface everything else I say for the rest of this video with this. This is really fucking important. And you have to understand the design aspect of things. Resident Evil Village is a really fucking easy game, okay? Yep. However, it was made intentionally so. Based on player feedback that RE7 was too hard and too scary, you can find the developers talking about this online. This is real. They balanced Resident Evil Village around that. So casual is more like assisted mode from previous games, and the standard mode is more like easy. Hardcore difficulty for Resident Evil Village is the standard difficulty through which you should measure the game's objective quality. It is, especially if you understand the way the difficulty adjustment works. Hardcore is the most well-balanced experience that any gamer can have going into this game for the very first time. I guarantee you this guy played on standard the very first playthrough. I can guarantee you it. Because I am a fucking veteran. And even my first hardcore playthrough, I was like, I don't have enough to do this. Holy shit, we're fucked. This is going to be rough. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's the way the game was balanced. Standard was intentionally dumbed down to the point where it is you can stagger bosses with the knife on standard. You can get hit 10 times before you need to heal. It's crazy. It is a joke how easy it is. And this isn't a discussion about difficulty in video games. This is a discussion about Village and the balance therein. Standard was balanced around, because go back to RE7, that first playthrough, the hardest difficulty you could play was normal until you unlocked Madhouse, and normal was rough, dude.
Normal was insane.
Do you remember Zombie, do you remember the first time you get to the basement on normal and you get in the fucking middle of that goddamn 11 molded gangbang and they just fucking toss you around
like
fucking
wrecked me
noodle?
like 4 times, dude. I'm not afraid.
And then you're like, okay, I have no ammo, no healing. What the fuck do I do? And then you die so many times, the load screen's like, hey, go get the shotgun, pussy. And you're like, oh fuck, that's right, I can get the shotgun. So you go get the shotgun, and then you go back down there, and you still don't kill them all.
Yep.
Like, and then you compare that to Standard and Village, where the enemies are faster, more numerous. They surround you. The AI in this game is super fucking smart. Actually, you don't notice it on Standard, which is unfortunate. But it's really fucking smart. The way
it starts getting crazy on Hardcore and Village of Shadows, though. Like 100%. You know, on Village of Shadows that this AI is brilliant. And this AI knows how to fuck you up easy.
They didn't need to make it like to where every hit put you in danger in Village of Shadows, because the AI is so effective. I think it still would have been challenging regardless. I think that Madhouse is the superior difficulty to Village of Shadows, because Village of Shadows is a lot more like Inferno from RE3. It's just like more enemies, stronger enemies, they do more damage, and you fucking die.
Yeah.
Nah, you ever see a speedrun, the AI is so dumb. AI doesn't have to be dumb to be manipulated. Like, once you understand the way AI works, regardless of how complicated it is, you can manipulate it, right? That's the way that it works.
Not to mention shortcuts and glitches that people use to do speedruns.
Right. There are I've seen the world record speedrun of this multiple times. I know exactly what manipulations of the AI is done. It's very, very easy when you Resident Evil 4 Professional is easier than normal because the difficulty adjustment is maxed, so the enemies are predictable. The difficulty is technically harder, sure, but when you understand the way the enemies act, you can completely predict their movements. That's the way they work, right? That's the way they work. Seantown, what's good, brother? Welcome to the fucking critique. We're looking at Under the Mayo's Resident Evil Village review. This is the first time we've done anything like this on the stream, but we're really excited. It's good to have you. Welcome. It's me and my man Zombie Hugs. We got Kuroda Nakamura in the chat as well, backing us up. He's the backup singer. Tell Zombie I say hi. So Shanto says hi, dude.
He was actually in my chat, but my stream is lagging. I'm actually co-hosting your stream on my stream, so I point people in your direction. So
why don't you stream this too, bro?
I am streaming it, but I'm streaming your window with your name on it, so people go to yours to get the definitive experience.
Got you. All right, Shanto, thank you for the motherfucking follow. So anyway, I literally did all that just to get to this fucking point. The point is, everything that I say for the rest of this critique, filter it through that prism. I believe that hardcore is the most well-balanced difficulty in this game, and it is intentionally so. The developers, hardcore in Village is tantamount to what normal was in RE7.
Yes.
And Village of Shadows is relative to Madhouse in terms of enemy difficulty, damage, health, and all that stuff.
So
that's the way you have to look at it.
So the problem with normal on RE8 was that I was able to play the game and not have to worry about ammo. I didn't have to worry about running. Whereas on normal on Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, I had to worry constantly about ammo, like conserving ammo, running from the mold. Not popping shots at Jack when he was chasing me when I could stun him even if I had the ammo. Like, I had to worry about that stuff. In Village on normal mode, I didn't have to until hardcore. When I got into hardcore, I started realizing, dude, I got like fucking 10 bullets to last me till the next fucking save point. I really need to shoot people in the leg, you know what I mean? Like,
so my first playthrough was hardcore. It wasn't until I went, because I did it. My first stream for Village was 24-hour stream. I did hardcore and then immediately jumped into Village of Shadows. Did them both in the first stream. Village of Shadows is nuts. Hardcore is the most well balanced. But after going back, I went back way fucking later and played Standard just for fun. The fact that you can stagger bosses with the base
With the knife,
especially when
yes.
we know now how fucking useless that knife is crazy to me. And that just, it tells me Standard was meant to be easier. And when you go back and listen to the actual developers talk about how they balance the game around the player feedback and the QA feedback, because when they were originally testing the beta version of Village, it was much fucking harder. So it wasn't even just that they based it on the feedback from 7. They also based it on the feedback from the QA for the initial testing for the beta of Village, that it was too fucking hard. Because there were so many enemies on screen and they were all fast and they could rip your dick off and fucking rip your butthole out and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There is definitely a subjective conversation, Shanto, to be had about the scariness of Village for sure, and that's a conversation
I'm sure we're going to breach on. I'm sure we're going to breach
But-
on it. He's going to talk about it.
All I care about for discussions like this is gameplay, because gameplay can be quantified, it can be measured. Horror is a nebulous, intangible quality that affects us all differently. I found Village to be quite tense, more similarly to something like RE4 or Resident Evil Nemesis, whereas RE7 I found to be one of the scariest experiences in the franchise, more than RE1 remake.
Yes.
Like 7 is, in my opinion, 7 is the scariest.
7's the scariest Resident Evil in the franchise. I'm not afraid to say it.
I think if it wasn't in first person, I don't know.
It wouldn't have been as scary.
Be.
I've played it in the third person mod, and it was not as scary as being in first person.
Exactly. And then, in VR, I can't even imagine. I would love to play it in VR at some point. That would be fucking great. But let's go ahead and move on. We focus on this a lot, but I just want to say Resident Evil Village, for me, definitively is a survival horror game. That doesn't mean that it has to fit within a particular set of parameters. For me, there's only one core mechanic that you need for a survival game to function properly, as long as it's balanced well. And Resident Evil Village hits that for me. Zombie, would you agree with that?
And not to mention dual wielding and cart wielding and kicking and snapping zombies' necks. I'm looking at you, RE6. Yeah, I would agree.
I did it in VR and almost had a panic attack. I fucking believe it, dude. I couldn't even finish a mission. I took it off. 30 seconds down, 47 minutes, 30 seconds left to go. Thanks, Kuroda.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Kuroda's got the clipboard. He's like, all right, you guys are fucking taking too long. All right, let's go ahead and continue.
Let me start this video by saying I have no problem with anyone who likes this game or praises it. I'm not calling anyone a fake Resident Evil fan just for saying Village is good.
Okay, but what's a real Resident Evil fan, though? Like,
Resident Evil 6 was survival horror. Operation Raccoon City actually had survival elements to it. Those are Resident Evil games.
It just goes back to the thing I was talking about, that purist mentality where it's like there are people who genuinely believe that, like, since Resident Evil 1, or maybe 2 or 3, if you're being generous, none of them have been, as good, right? And it's like, I think that's a subjective measure, especially when you look at the sales. The sales don't fucking lie. Dude, I don't even think Resident Evil 1 is in the top 10 as far as sales go. It's like RE4 is one of the most ported games in fucking history, maybe the most ported. And then you have fucking RE7 that just broke 10 million. Village had one of the biggest opening weeks in the entire franchise. Like, so it's the Venn diagram. The Venn diagram of Resident Evil fans hurts my brain because it's such a popular franchise. You get every single type of opinion, but when you really start talking about the gameplay and the mechanics and all that stuff, nobody seems interested in having a conversation. It's all about like, I don't know.
Here's
one's not. It's so nebulous and vague and like annoying to have conversations about these games with people. Like,
right. Here's what it all comes down to. Resident Evil fans, if you were a fan of Village, you liked the game. That's the important thing. If you like the game, that's the important thing. If you like Resident Evil 6, I'm sorry, that's the important thing. If you like Operation Raccoon City or Umbrella Corps, that's your thing. I think that game sucks. Both of those games suck, but that's your thing. If you're a fan of it, then you're a fan of it. You don't need to call fake Resident Evil fans out. That's just alienating the people that actually want to watch you review to actually see you review a game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's not what he's saying, but at the same time, in a roundabout way, it kind of is like a fuck you. Yeah. But at the same time, if the only game in the series you've ever played is Village and you like it, you're allowed to be a Resident Evil fan. That's fucking okay.
Yep,
You know
that
what I
is
mean?
okay. That is okay.
Like you can just like Iron Man and be a Marvel fan if you want to. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to subscribe to an entire, plethora of lore or a series to be a fan of a series. If you like a game or two in it, that's fine too. So it's weird. It's weird. It's a weird mentality and weird perspectives. I try to be more like open to the idea of what people like, what people might like, and having a conversation about it. And I feel like a lot of content creators are so like in their own little bubble, or they surround themselves with people who like believe the exact same stuff. I know because I've been trapped on Resident Evil Twitter for the last fucking 7 months. And Resident Evil Twitter is one of the weirdest places on the fucking planet, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I need to go grab something, guys. I just got a text message. I got to go do this real quick. Just give me like fucking 5 seconds. Zombie, tell these people how good Village is. I'll be right back.
I'm pretty sure everyone in here has played Village already, but we can talk about the series as a whole being just something that you can play. This guy's basically calling out fake fans, of Resident Evil, like saying I'm not calling you fake, but if you like this, then that's I know, right? Put on the spot, but yeah, that's kind of the problem here. Is you're alienating people for liking something. I'm not going to alienate someone who likes Silent Hill Downpour, and that was what got them to become a fan of Silent Hill, for instance. But if you play Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3, then you really get the idea of what Silent Hill was before all that, before they started making, different mechanics and different stories and stuff like that. This guy's YouTube video is him hating on people who just like one RE game and its Village. Basically, he's hating on Village, and we are dissecting it because I really enjoyed Village. I enjoyed Village. Not as much as I did Biohazard, but I still enjoyed it. And we're going to try to pick it apart a little bit because Oz is very passionate about how much this guy has absolutely shit on Resident Evil Village, as well as a guy named Avalanche Reviews, which I actually like Avalanche Reviews' videos. I've told Oz that too. I like his stuff. But this guy straight up said the game was serious. Like, bro, yeah. So that's another funny thing. Is like this. Oh yeah, this guy is basically saying that RE Village lacks a serious tone. Like, let me look you in the eyes, Mayo. Have you played Resident Evil 4 yet? Seriously? Have you played Resident Evil 4 yet?
Well, okay, but it doesn't even matter whether or not. So for me, you can literally look at Village in a vacuum and still find an error in the way that he critiques the game. You know what I mean? Because it's obviously serious, while I would say this game has like a. Have you guys seen Army of Darkness?
Yes, only 10 times.
Army of Darkness. No, actually, that might be a bit too. That might be too extreme of an example.
You got to go down a little bit.
Okay, here we go.
Down
Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters. The original Ghostbusters is a movie that a lot of people really remember as a comedy. But when I saw that movie as a kid, it actually scared the fuck out of me. And I realized when I got older, the reason that it scared me so much is because. Sorry, I ran all the way around my property just now, so I'm like super out of breath.
Dude, you're good. Keep talking.
Okay. So, Ghostbusters, the reason it scared me so much as a kid, going back and watching it as an adult, is because it was a movie that actually had a serious threat, and it treats the paranormal elements like it's actually a serious threat, while starring characters that actually are funny in terms of their chemistry and the way that they play off of one another. Because that's how people in that situation could really act. But even at the end, they treat the threat as though it's a serious threat. Right. And I always admired Ghostbusters for that because it never devolved into schlock the way the fucking reboot did. It treated the threat seriously. The characters felt real. Resident Evil Village does something very, very similar. the threat is real. The threat is treated very seriously. However, you can have characters that can have funny interactions within the context of that threat, especially the villains. This game puts a huge emphasis on the character of the villains.
Yes.
I loved how unique each villain is. They all have a super interesting backstory, and
Yep.
I'm honestly kind of butthurt that they all didn't get a bit more screen time. Not
Agreed.
any one in particular, but all of them. Like, there's a
Lady
lot of
Dimitrescu.
really cool. There's a lot of really cool backstory to the character. I actually prefer. I think Donna. To me, Donna is the most interesting in terms of her backstory, and I feel like she was the.
But Donna didn't have a lot. It was just a small, quick section, and it was over. It was with the
Yeah,
baby
she
and the
was-
dolls, and boom, done.
Yeah, really underutilized. She took a back seat to Angie, which sucked because Donna's way more interesting of a person when you learn her backstory and her about her mental illness, and I think her power set is really unique too. You know.
Yeah.
Mini Napoleon, psycho with split personality, who very possibly did fuck his sister. Barry, where's Barry? Villain singing opera to control viral leeches. Stars, Spider Lady, serious series. Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
I love that movie. It
They
scared the shit
nailed
out of me
it.
as a kid. Oh yeah.
They nailed it. They nailed it right on that.
All right, let's continue. here.
Continue.
We're 26 seconds in. We're making progress, guys.
Bro, this is gonna be like a
If you bought
19-hour
this
stream.
game and you had a good time, that's great. I want people to enjoy the games they buy.
Doesn't sound
However,
like it.
I would also like to enjoy the games I buy. The Resident Evil series has had its ups and downs.
Here we go.
It's existed in
Instantly,
different
pause it,
forms.
pause it, pause
From
it.
the glory days
Instantly, chat. Do you realize this guy's talking about, I want people to enjoy the game, but I also want to enjoy the game. Flashes to Resident Evil remake screen. That's what we're getting into here. God dang it, Oz, dude. All right, continue. Fuck.
I told you it was coming, man.
Fuck it, dude. Go.
of the classic exploration-focused
Oh
originals.
wait, hold on. This is where shit gets super deep though.
All right.
Resident Evil series has had its ups and downs. It's existed in different forms. From the glory days of the classic exploration-focused originals and the fantastic GameCube remake.
Dude, listen to the fucking jerk-off session. Did you hear that shit? He referred to the classic. He referred to it as being the glory days of the classic exploration-focused games. He will not say anything that elaborate about anything good
my
about any other
God.
game in the series in this entire video. I guarantee it.
Dude, clearly you have not played the director's cut of the original Resident Evil. You're a fucking weeb, dude. Sorry. Continue. Continue the video.
Fucking weeb.
I'm gonna fucking
To
die.
the well-received over-the-shoulder horror shooter of RE4,
hold on.
focused originals, and the fantastic GameCube remake.
He called
to
it
the
a horror
well-received
shooter.
Over-the-shoulder horror shooter of RE4 to whatever the hell this is.
Oh
Okay,
shit!
this is
No!
one of the-
No!
listen,
He did not. He
listen,
did not.
No, me first. Listen, this is the point. I think this might be one of the points in the video that fucking annoys me the most, and here's why. I'm gonna play this whole fucking part back. Okay, listen to what he says about RE4. Listen to what he says about RE4.
The classic exploration-focused originals and the fantastic GameCube remake to the well-received over-the-shoulder horror shooter of RE4.
Replace RE4 with RE5, and you're saying the exact same thing. RE5 was a mechanical improvement on RE4 in basically every sense. The only reason people hated RE5 and memed on it was because of the story
Was
and the
the
overemphasis
boulder
on
punch.
action and QTEs.
The
But
boulder
if you
punch and
actually-
racism.
Listen.
Focused originals and
One more
the
time.
fantastic GameCube remake to the well-received over-the-shoulder horror shooter of RE4.
Dude, this is
You
killing me.
literally just described RE5, okay? You can meme on RE5. Like, if you want a scapegoat, you have RE6, you have Umbrella Corps, you have Operation Raccoon City.
It's okay, Sean.
Like,
It's okay.
you
I know
have
it's
so many
lagging.
other
You should
games
stay
can
on
meme
Vengeful's anyway.
But like
This is just to
RE5 is such
promote
an
his
easy
stream.
scapegoat for people just because of that one goddamn boulder sequence. But RE5, again, another one that's fresh in my mind. We played that shit just as tense as RE4, right? But it's a co-op experience, so the gameplay's a bit different if you actually play it co-op. But dude, RE4 and RE5 mechanically are not that dissimilar. RE5 is just a slight improvement in every single mechanical category. They're not that much different in terms of how they play. So to praise RE4 for that and then just use RE5 as a meme is really disingenuous to me. That stuff bothers me a lot. Like use RE6. RE6 is a way better example of a shit game. And it's the one that turned the franchise back around. Without 6, we don't have 7. So very weird. It's like I think that goes down to the writing. It's how you write a script. It's like, oh, this is what we can do this here and it'll be funny for the video. But it's not funny. There's not a funny moment in this video. And if you're going to make a 44-minute critique about a series that's got funny shit in it, you gotta liven that shit up, boy.
to whatever the hell this is, to the modern remakes, one being pretty good and the other being a soulless cash grab, to the impressive
RE3 Remake has a lot of problems, but I would not call it a soulless cash grab. I think that's pretty fucking extreme. RE3 Remake could have been way better, and I really think it deserved more development time from Capcom themselves and not outsourcing it to another team, but I would not call it a soulless cash grab. That's pretty fucking extreme, guys. I mean, am I wrong? Like, does anybody else actually think RE3 Remake is... It's got a lot of problems, yes, and it's not super replayable. But does anybody think RE3 Remake is actually that bad? I'm curious.
No.
RE3 Remake is a really divisive game. I respect everyone's opinion because I think I understand some of the hatred. But to say that it's a soulless cash grab to me is like, I don't know.
I don't think it's that bad. No.
RE3 is sick or RE3 is soulless?
I don't think it's that bad.
Like I said, I've put about 50 hours into RE3 Remake, and that's between getting S ranks in every difficulty, unlocking every achievement, buying all the stuff in the shop after I did all the achievements. So it's a fully completed game for me, and I got about 50 hours out of it, and I did a couple of casual playthroughs for stream just for fun. And I don't think I'll revisit it again anytime soon, but I think I got my money's worth for sure. I don't think I'd call it a soulless cash grab. Like, I don't know. I think that's a bit extreme, but RE3 is kind of divisive, and I understand a lot of the feelings that people have towards it. So I think it's an interesting point to bring up, at least, you know?
Right.
And the other being a soulless cash grab, to the impressive yet flawed RE7, which recaptured a lot of the original's magic, but wore out its welcome halfway through, and ended up killing its replayability with unskippable cutscenes and intros.
I don't disagree with... Okay, it didn't kill the replayability, but unskippable cutscenes are definitely a sin.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's why they added it in Village, because they knew that people, especially with the amount of cutscenes. Can you imagine if you couldn't skip any of the cutscenes in Village? That is a long ass fucking game, dude. So part of me wishes in hindsight that they would go back and just add that into RE7, make it to where you could skip the cutscenes. But I think the way they integrated the cutscenes and the gameplay is way too seamless, and I don't know if they'd be able to do that. I agree with RE7. Halfway through starting with the boat, it was pretty fucking dumb. RE7, even, I know there's a lot of, I actually really like the boat section. I think I'm a fucking weirdo, because I know everybody hates the game at that point.
I thought the boat section was great.
It's a very common thing that people dislike the boat section, and I actually understand why. I understand a lot of the points, I really do, but it doesn't affect me that way. But I see it, right? I can concede that that's a section that a lot of people don't have a lot of fun with because of its level design. I completely understand. The way people have described it is like, you know when you're playing RE4 and you're fucking having a good time and you're like, man, I forgot how great this game was, and then you get to the island. That's kind of how the boat section is for a lot of people with RE7, and I absolutely understand and respect that perspective. It doesn't affect me that way. RE7 is a game that I can replay anytime, regardless of how I'm feeling, and the unskippable cutscenes don't bother me. But unskippable cutscenes are a fucking sin, and I absolutely can concede to other people's dislike of them, for sure.
Right.
Starting with boat section, there's no more family, just molded and so bland. Yeah. So my biggest issue with RE7 in the boat section, that would have been a perfect opportunity to introduce a new enemy type. They did not. A new enemy type with its own unique mechanics. Boom. Because they introduced a new weapon type. You get there, what do you get? Remote bombs. Remote bombs and a new enemy type. Maybe like an aquatic version of the molded something. They could have done something really fucking cool with just a single new enemy. Would have changed the way people felt. I completely agree. All they needed was one little new design element to freshen it up. 100%. I agree. RE7's my favorite game, but I acknowledge the flaws. 100%.
Right.
I'm with you, Kuroda. They needed something new right there at that boat. Something to throw you off, because you know the game. You know the game at that point. I know how to kill the molded. Oh, fuck. It's a new one. That's all they had to do. That's all they had to do.
I
Village
thought
has
the boat
been
section
hyped
was
up
amazing.
all year, Rose.
What'd you say? Boat section's amazing. Yeah, I
I
really
thought
like
being
the boat
on the
section a
boat
lot.
was amazing. It was different. It almost felt like I mean, you got the SMG that was super fucking cool to jump into Mia's shoes and deal with the molded.
I think that's a part of the problem for some people is that you basically play the boat section twice. You do it in the flashback and then you do it in current time.
But it's like Sorry.
I like it, but I definitely understand the issues people have with it for sure. But it doesn't affect me on repeat playthroughs.
But it's like
So-
you've been playing the horror section of the game, right? The whole time. The whole time it's been massive horror in Resident Evil 7 up to that point. I was like, yo, when am I going to turn into a fucking badass? And boom, they gave me an SMG. And when I'm going back to the boat with Ethan, I was happy to do it again, honestly. I mean, it's nice in a horror game to take a break and say, you know what? I want to fight back. To me, if you put that in a horror game, that makes me as a player happy to know that I've been running from these fuckers. I've been saving my ammo. Now it's time for me to fight back. To me, that is 100% needed to me.
Yeah. Molded is such a boring enemy. I mean, so here's the thing, right? I kind of agree. To me, the biggest issues in RE7 were basically rectified in Village. Uninteresting enemies and lack of enemy variety completely solved in Village, right? Unskippable cutscenes completely solved in Village, right? And they even tried to fucking up the ante with the villains. Like the Baker family, I don't think they could top. I don't think the villains in Village are better, but they definitely were like, let's do something different. And I gotta fucking give them some goddamn credit for that, because they made some standout fucking villains, dude. All of them. All 5 of those villains stand the fuck out to me. Even the daughters, even Cassandra, Bela, and Daniela. Seriously, they look the same, and they all have 3 very distinct personalities to me. Like, they did a really good fucking job with them villains, dude.
The way they talk, the way they act, the way they come at you. Their mannerisms are different. Yeah.
Yes. Even their attacks vary slightly based on their fucking personalities. Like, those little subtle details, man. Like, and the enemy variety. There is more variety within certain enemy types in Village than there are total enemies in 7, including the DLC.
Agreed.
So I understand the fucking criticism, dude. Suffering what's good, man. I would let the daughters dump in my mouth. They're so banging. 100%, bro. 100%, bro. All right, let's get back to this critique. We're only a minute in, guys.
All right.
Village has been hyped up all year. Lady Dimitrescu was a huge meme. Capcom did
Okay, I got to comment on this because this pisses me off too.
Please go.
Capcom, and I followed the fucking social media hype. Capcom had no fucking part in that. They showed one fucking trailer and the internet lost its mind.
The internet lost its shit.
People being hyped about Lady D is 100% their fault. Internet, it's your fault. Capcom didn't even hype her up after we did. They didn't.
Yep.
They had they added a fucking emote to Twitter. That's all they did. But the fans were like, oh my god, big booba lady, step on me. And look, I love Lady D as much as everybody else. But people who are disappointed that she wasn't in the game more, that's your fucking fault. I knew when they showed the castle a bunch in the trailers, that was going to be early game. I knew it wasn't going to be end game. There's no way they would have spoiled end game.
No, they're not going to spoil end game content. They didn't even do that for 4. They showed Sadler, or fucking Salazar was the most they showed for 4 in all the trailers leading up to release. Salazar.
Yeah.
That's it.
You do not want to fucking spoil your end game, dude. Like they were keeping that shit under wraps. But she is great. No, I think Lady D she's not just a cool villain. She's super fucking interesting. Because you continue to get lore and backstory on her way after she's dead.
Yep.
And I fucking love that about Village. You learn more and more about the villains even after they're dead. And a lot of it's fucking optional by exploring the village fully. What a cool fucking game design, dude.
Yeah, at the final,
fucking cool.
at the close to the end of the game, you discover each and every villain's reason for why they're doing what they're doing and how they, became what they became. No spoilers, how they became what they became.
Dude, the exposition and lore in that game is really fucking cool, and it paints the villains in a different light than anything we've ever seen before.
Exactly.
Not that they're humanized. They don't become humanized the same way the Bakers did by the end of 7, because by the end of 7, you actually really feel for the Bakers.
You feel for the Bakers.
Especially after you play the DLC. If you play the Daughters DLC, dude, that Daughters DLC, especially when I don't know if you guys have actually played the DLC. Maybe I shouldn't spoil it if you haven't, but
it's
play
emotional.
the fucking Daughters DLC.
It's emotional,
It actually fucking hit me. I was like,
it's
emotional. Fuck, I'm not trying to spoil shit, but that was dope.
Yeah,
I like how she was
emotional.
a vampire, but it was because she had one of my favorite aspects of Resident Evil in general, especially what they did with Village and 7, is how they took they tried to create almost a supernatural villain, a supernatural enemy, and then they explain it with science and biology. I love that. I love the joining of supernatural and science and biology and creating something new and interesting. I love that shit. Are they vampires? Not really. And here's how they work. Very cool. RE7 feels like a ghost. It feels like a ghost game. Like Evelyn feels like a ghost for the majority of the game.
Right.
It really feels like a ghost story, but
Exactly.
they find a biological way to explain. Evelyn, to me, and her whole backstory, the whole story of the Molded, to me, is one of the most interesting concepts in the entire franchise.
No spoilers.
And they take it but they explain it with science, right? It's really fucking cool. I love that shit. But yeah, if you were hyped about Lady D and then disappointed, that's your fault.
Several reveal events, the critical reception has been positive, and after seeing the potential in RE7 and the mega success of the RE2 remake, I went into Village with low to moderate expectations.
How could you go in with
How
low
could you
to
go into
moderate
low moderate?
expectations?
Yeah.
And after
yeah,
Hold on,
dude.
listen to what he says.
seeing the potential in RE7 and the mega
Potential.
The mega
success
success.
of the RE2 remake, I went into Village with low to
moderate
expectations.
I went into Village with high as fuck expectations.
I agree.
Seven
I
was
agree,
very
dude.
good.
I pre-ordered it the day they showed the fucking teaser and said, "Look, you can pre-order this right now."
I pre-ordered it while people were still talking in the YouTube chat, dude. I pre-ordered it right then and there. I was more hyped for Village than any game fucking in history, dude. And even with those expectations, I still was not disappointed. So that's a super subjective thing. So I don't want to say it like it's law, but you can go into something with high expectations and
I
not be
think
disappointed.
I was more hyped for Resident Evil 7. To be fair, because it was a game changer and it was kind of exciting to find out what Resident Evil 7 was going to be in true
Yeah.
first-person perspective. Not Survivor, not GunCon, not none of that fucking dead aim bullshit. I'm talking full-on first-person horror.
I didn't play RE7 until last summer. I was not interested after 6. I didn't come back to the franchise until last year. I got back into horror games and just started futzing around. I was like, you know what? I'll go back and catch up on all the games I missed. Went back and played RE7. I played that shit for fucking like 2 months straight, dude. DLC, main game, Madhouse, everything. It's a game that's like in my fucking DNA.
Just to touch on
I played RE7, and then literally while I was still playing it, they announced Village. So it was weird for me because everybody else had to wait years. I only had to wait like 8 months. It was a very strange experience, but that's one of the reasons why I was super hyped because I was still in it, you know?
Yeah. Just to touch on what
Especially after
Kuroda
the
just
shit
said.
show, yeah.
After the shit show was RE6. The way this guy is saying he went into low, moderate expectations, right? From 1 to 3, the games have played, 1 to 3 to Code Veronica, the games have played in a fixed camera angle, right? As far as the main line goes, I'm not including Outbreak because Outbreak was technically, quote unquote, a spinoff. But they were in fixed camera angles. RE4, 5, and 6 was in third person. RE7 and 8 are in first person, right? These are what they did is with the first 3, they revolutionized, like in my opinion, it brought mainline attention to fixed camera angle survival horror from the first one, right?
Yeah.
And then Resident Evil 4 came out, and then guess what pops up after that? Third person shooters. Everyone wanted to make a third-person shooter.
Okay, real quick disclaimer. If you like video games, you have Resident Evil 4 to thank. Because without Resident Evil 4, video games don't exist anymore, by the way, just so we're clear. Every game that existed after Resident Evil 4 took something from RE4. Every fucking game, dude. Every single one of them.
Yep.
Ironically, except for Resident Evil. They were not interested in doing the exact same thing again, which I give Capcom credit for that. They have never done the same thing fucking twice, right? Which is a good thing, and also, you know,
very ballsy. Downfall at times. Ballsy. It's ballsy. Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't.
Look at RE1 Remake and then RE0. I haven't played RE0, but I know the mechanics in the game. They could have done RE1 was mega successful. They could have just done the same thing again with different characters.
And threw it on a coat of paint and called it Resident Evil.
But they tried something new with the inventory, and a lot of people hate it. I'm fucking hyped about it. I'm stoked as fuck on that game because that sounds like it's right up my alley. Inventory management is my shit. Put it in a capsule. I'm gonna shove it in my ass. I love inventory management, dude. I wish they would make a giant ass bundle of every. Yeah, why don't they? Capcom, put every one of your fucking games on Steam.
I will
make
pay
$150
right now.
You will make enough Disney dollars to ride the Haunted Mansion 100 times in a row, dude. Just put them on Steam.
Yeah.
Put them on fucking. You'll make enough space bucks to buy the moon, dude. You and Isaac Clarke can live on the moon together.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Him and his fucking basketball skills, man.
Yeah. He's a G, dude.
But
All right,
no,
let's go.
I was just saying on
I
Kuroda
just
that
tend-
like the first person, the tank angles, and like what you were saying about like how Capcom always tries something new and how sometimes it doesn't stick and sometimes it doesn't land. But the truth is, like what you said, Resident Evil gives so much influence to other games in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Doom Eternal, your brutal kills wouldn't have happened without Resident Evil 4. Like 100%. There is zero fucking doubt in my mind. You shoot a Ganado in the face, guess what? He's stunned, you can kick him. Guess what? You shoot a guy in Doom Eternal, you can go up and do a brutal kill. Boom.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't get it. Like that, they have the games made, just put them together. Suffering Trude, the biggest Trude that ever trued. Capcom, is there some sort? Oh, there might be some licensing issues, guys. Because think about how long ago those came out, and Sony has had a huge influence on Capcom's development for some of their games. So honestly, there could be some licensing issues for putting them on, for reporting them, or even putting them all together in a bundle. Because Code Veronica was part of the. That was like it was a Sega thing originally, and then they did RE4, RE1 Remake, and RE0 were all part of the GameCube, the Nintendo deal. So the way they're putting games on Steam, or the ability to port games, there could be some licensing issues that could play a part of it, or they probably don't have a good enough team to port their games to PC. But considering what just fans have been able to do, it can't be that hard, right? All right, let's get back into this shit though.
potential in RE7 and the mega success of the RE2 remake, I went into Village with low to moderate expectations. I didn't need to be blown away, I just wanted to have a good Resident Evil time.
Hold on.
I don't like.
Majority of the
Oh
experience.
shit.
He didn't.
I didn't need
He
to
didn't
be
need to be blown
I just
away,
wanted to have
right?
a good
This
wanted
is
to
a
have
good Resident Evil game.
time. No, he wanted to have a good Resident Evil time. You know what that means, right? He wants to have
Survival
open-ended
horror,
exploration.
backtracking, closed
He wants to have limited
hallways.
inventory. He wants to have really boring ass puzzles, and he wants to have because let's face it, Resident Evil. People always talk about, oh, the puzzles used to be good. Name one good fucking puzzle in a Resident Evil game. Go. Name one. Actually, there are a couple of good ones. So name just name three. Name three. Go, guys, go. Name three good Resident Evil puzzles. Anyone, go. I'm open. Go. Name one Resident Evil puzzle that is not take the thing to the fucking thing and put it in the thing. There are so few, dude. But I can name a couple in Village that I thought
You know
were
who did it?
genuinely interesting.
The Marble
What?
games, dude. The Marble fucking games. Marble games.
The what are they called? The maze, like the labyrinth.
Yeah, the Marble
labyrinth
games.
puzzle.
The Labyrinth puzzles were
the
fucking
labyrinth
brilliant.
puzzles,
Were
I
brilliant.
wasn't even thinking of those. That's a cool concept they can continue to build on. I'd like to see them develop that concept further. But I wasn't even thinking about those, dude.
Were brilliant.
Let me preface it with this. Village has some dog shit puzzles too. 100%.
Oh, it does. It does.
100%. There are some fucking bad ones, dude. And I'm sure he's going to bring them up because he wants to shit all up in this game's dick. We'll talk about those when we get there because that is something we all might agree on. But I just played Resident Evil 1 Remake. I'm struggling to think of any single puzzle that made me go, oh, that was cool. Like even a little blip on the heart monitor. I can't think of any that weren't just, I found something on this side of the mansion and the solution is over there. I can't think of a single one that's not just that. There's the one where you activate the box and you have to put all the little pieces together, but that's like an actual, almost like a jigsaw puzzle. It's not that
Sonata, you
hard.
fucking asshole.
It's like, it's not. There aren't that many interesting puzzles in this franchise. It all amounts to finding a key and opening a door with it. Wait in for that fucking Scorpion Wild G40 something thing when you had to escape the falling crates. The U3, yeah, U3. And shoot the buzzers. Yeah, that whole room's kind of a little puzzle, you know? Yeah.
I like that. Okay, 7. I really
Done,
loved
you and
Lucas's.
ST, thank you for the fucking follow. Sorry, we're balls deep in this critique, man. Sorry. Welcome.
It's okay. You're good. If
Dude,
you have chatters,
guys,
dude.
Listen, Dude, listen. I think one of the most interesting puzzles in the entire franchise is optional. Hey, I know how hard it is to grow on Twitch, so here's a follow. I hope you have an amazing stream, and remember, you're amazing. Fucking thank you, Dunn. I really appreciate the support, man. Thank you so much for the follow. Yeah, normally we'd be playing something scary, but right now we're critiquing somebody else's critique because we're fucking assholes.
That's really sweet of you.
Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much. Go follow my man Zombie Hugs too. He's in the stream with me right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, U3, that shit was insane. That's a cool fight, right? That's a fight that's actually got some mechanics to it. Yeah, I dig it. But as far as actual puzzles go, fucking name one, guys.
I liked Lucas's puzzles. I guess I'm biased on it. I thought that was a really awesome part of Resident Evil 7 was like
that
the
whole
Saw
section
aspect.
is great. Like the escape room stuff is really cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, before 7 and 8, before the Renaissance, before RE7, because that's the time frame that we're dealing with someone like this, because this guy was clearly in a coma for 20 years. So before RE7, dude. The most interesting puzzle that I can think of is the one from RE4 that's optional, the one that gets you the green cat's eye. The one where you have to turn the little dial on the thing.
That fucking thing, dude. I played with that for
a cool little
5
puzzle,
minutes.
But it's fucking optional. You don't even have to do it to progress. Name an interesting puzzle in one of these games. Can I get the spelling of his name? Kuroda, can you shout out Zombie, man? Can you do the shout out for Zombie?
So, let me think. I'm trying to hit you with something here. I really am, dude. But I mean, you've got a fucking point. Like, I'm a huge fan of the series, dude. I've played every single fucking Resident Evil game, even some for the fucking. I played Gaiden for fuck's sake.
I'm struggling to think of interesting puzzles in this franchise that don't amount to just put a thing in a thing and open a thing. Like, I know there are some, but they're clearly not memorable enough.
Yeah.
Hang on,
dude. Fuck, dude.
Thank you, Silent.
I don't fucking know, man. Damn.
Thanks, bro. Anyway, if
chat, help me out, please. Help me out. Interesting puzzles. Save the series.
Clearly, dude, RE5, Kuroda, the fucking laser beam puzzles. That was more interesting than anything that happened in any
Resident Evil 4, though. Resident Evil 4, though. Calm down. Resident Evil 4 did it first.
Resident Evil 4 did the laser puzzle?
Yes. They did it first. Remember on the island.
With the three in the first area of the island, you're right.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. And then them and us stole it.
Oh, get the fuck out, bro. Don't even I'm going to throw up. I'm going to fucking throw up, bro.
RE4 treasure puzzles were the best. What do you mean, like figuring out how to combining the different treasures and finding them all? That's kind of a little puzzle system all on its own, you know? There's a lot of really... Anyway, what I'm saying is... What he's talking about is like those gameplay mechanics, and not only have they not been prevalent in the franchise
Thank you so much for that
almost
follow,
20
man.
years,
I really appreciate
but a lot of those things were never really
so
interesting
much.
before. So, all right, I think we can continue here. We're only a minute and a half in. This is going to take all fucking day.
Dude, can we continue?
Like
Jesus.
Well, no, there is a certain measure of like puzzle solving conceptually, right? I think that's totally a valid response.
Fuck, dude. Okay. One to three.
Zombie, we can't hear you, dude.
No, we're good. I was talking to somebody on the stream. 1 to 3. Name a good puzzle. That's basically what I'll say. Because 4.
Oh, I just beat Resident Evil 1 remake.
Doesn't count. That was after the fucking Renaissance. That was after 4.
Let me think of a puzzle from RE1 remake because I just fucking beat it.
That was after 4. Damn you. No, I'm talking 1 to 3, man. 1 to 3. Old school fucking PlayStation polygon bullshit puzzles, bro.
Hang on, I need to plug my headset in. Hang on. Okay, so RE1. I can't think of any from RE1. So let me think of RE2. That's the one I played the most from the original trilogy. The
statue puzzles. And the upstairs. I like that puzzle. I'm biased.
Oh, Resident Evil 3. The draining the water in the sewers. I think there was a puzzle for that. I don't fucking remember. I genuinely don't remember, dude.
I think we should continue. We should continue.
The puzzles in this franchise are kind of bad. Just generally, like if you put them all on a fucking list and you graded them like based on the average, we'd be looking at like a D+ at best. Like RE puzzles are kind of fucking lame. I think 7 and Village have had some of the best puzzle design in general, and even some of the ones in Village suck. Like that's telling.
Hey, Capcom,
It's all just
you want to take note in good puzzles? Go play Tormented Souls.
like Tormented Souls, bitch.
Ta-da!
The bar has been raised. They're running circles around
Dude,
you, Capcom.
every puzzle I've played in that game so far, and I haven't even fucking scratched the surface of it yet, is so
Every one of
fucking
them
good,
make you
dude.
feel like a god
Is
when you're
so
done. You're like,
fucking
"Oh,
good, dude. You're like looking
I'm a
at
god."
you're looking at the wood. This is not a spoiler, by the way. You're looking at the wood, and you're like, dude, what the fuck do I do? Oh my god, it's a crowbar.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You have it in your inventory.
And that's like not even a puzzle. And then it literally it ramps up so fast. The first couple of puzzles are like this, and then it goes "Pew!"
Oh yeah, dude.
Like it's nuts in that game, dude. It's nuts.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's continue. We've ranted for too long. Let's go.
Let's go.
Resident Evil time. And sadly, I didn't get that. It's been about 3 years since I played a game that left me sitting there, jaw dropped open in total bewilderment and incredulity. I'm fucking shocked. I had no idea it could be this bad. It's not all bad.
Wait, what? Whoa, hold on. This is a roller coaster. Hold on.
I'm
hold on.
shocked. I
Hold
had
on,
no
hold on.
idea this could be this bad.
3 years since I played a game that left me sitting there, jaw dropped open in total bewilderment and incredulity. I'm fucking shocked. I had no idea it could be this bad. It's not all bad, as a modern...
Okay, I'm gonna play something for you guys, just so you hold on.
He said, I'm shocked. This guy said, I'm shocked. I could not believe something could be this bad.